Marcella Andrews, and I am from Madison, Wisconsin. I grew up in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and went to high school there. I have a distinct memory in high school of being in the hallway near my locker. Someone walked by and said, hey, you're a lesbian, and it was with this very angry tone. I was confused and I didn't really know what that all meant actually. And then they said, oh, you use a double header, which I did not know what that was at the time. Then I got even more confused and they're like, you don't even know what you are, but that's what you are, you're a lesbian. It was a very scary moment for me because I knew that it wasn't going to be easy if that's what I was, but I knew at that time I was different. Fast forward 25 years, and I'm happily married to my wife and live in Seattle, Washington. We have 2 beautiful children, and life is going quite well. One day, my youngest son says to me, I had bought outfits for them, dress-up clothes, because there was going to be an event, piano recital. And I'm showing, him the outfits, and he says, you never listen to me. And it startled me because that wasn't typically how, he had spoken to me. And so I sat down at the kitchen table and said, honey, I'm listening. What am I not hearing? And he said, I want to wear a dress. And so I said, okay, dress up clothes, totally fine. We're open in our house, let's go. So we went to Target, and I just was trying to be very open and say, you can go anywhere, you can do anything, anywhere for your shopping. And he went directly over to the girls' clothes, picked out an extremely frilly, girly dress, a cardigan, tights, shoes, and hair bow to match. We were in the dressing room, and I just remember being there thinking, okay, don't mess this up. Like, be calm, be neutral, don't say too many, feminine words or whatever. So just whatever, just try to be calm. He turned around and his head was down and was waiting for my reaction. And so I said, you look nice, because it wasn't beautiful or feminine or anything. And then I'll never forget, he just turned around and held out the dress, looked in the mirror, and the head was held high, and spun around back at me and said, I feel like me. And I just remember getting chills everywhere, and I texted my wife and said, this is really happening. Time went on, decided, at several weeks to, she, her pronouns, changed her name. So one Friday I was walking the school bus. So in Seattle, we walk the kids to school. And so a walking school bus is just a group of kids that all are from one neighborhood, and that's how they get to school. And so a parent is in charge of a particular day to kind of drive the bus. And so that was Friday's my day to drive the bus. And Rosemary wasn't in school yet. She was still in preschool, but she helps me drive the bus on Fridays. And so she was in transition during this time. And there was one child on the bus that was having a particularly hard time with her transition. He was a first grader, and he would come over, and her hair was growing longer, and he would grab fistfuls of her hair and say, where's your boy hair? And so, or one day she was wearing a skirt and lift up her skirt, where's your boy parts? And I would just try to redirect him. And so she was always holding my hand on the walking school bus, staying really close, because I think she was a little afraid. I was just walking, the kids through that, some people might have a little difference of opinions about it. But then this particular day, I must have been in a raw place or something. But we were walking, and this child came running up, and I was holding her hand, and I could see him coming. He came running up and said, you're a transgender. I know what you are. You're a transgender. And just like that, I was back in high school, standing at my locker, and I froze. I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. We weren't using that term in our house. This was just gender exploration. You could be whatever you wanted to be. And Rosemary looked up at me with her little 5-year-old eyes and said, what's a transgender? And she knew that by the tone that it wasn't a good thing, at least to this child. And he had picked on her enough to know that. And so he just kept repeating it. And I started to cry, and I didn't know what to do. My older son came over and said, he saw this going on. He knew this child was picking on his sister, and said, well, in our house, We believe that you can be born a boy and be a girl, and you can love anyone you want to love, and we will love you no matter what in our house. The same child kept repeating, but it's a transgender, and the other kids were like, so what? Who cares? And I was like, wow, this is incredible. I can't believe this is happening. So I was just like, pull yourself together. Okay, everyone, like keep walking the school bus. We got to cross the street. And I just kept crying and walking and thinking, this is incredible. These kids are incredible, and we've evolved, and it's okay. We're going to be okay. She never asked again what transgender was. Atticus, our older son, knows what the term means. And we just said, you can be whatever you want to be. And if you want to be a boy tomorrow, you can do that. Doesn't matter. We did write a letter to the parents on the walking school bus explaining that something had happened on the school bus and that we're not using that term, and that please, and that what we're using is gender exploration, and isn't it a great world that you can be whatever you want to be, and that was received really well. So that was kind of how we handled it. Before the walking school bus incident or story, I really kind of felt like I was just, we were a family with two moms, and that's just who we were. We were, walking the world with just being that. But now I really feel like we're a queer, proud family, and that's okay. And we really need to own that and go out into the world and help people understand that we're different. And back in high school, I was different and felt shame by that. And now I'm starting to really own my differences and own my children's differences, and not only accept it, but be proud of that.